All right, viewers, as we continue to track developments coming to light from West Asia, we're now learning that Ferdowsi Street in Iranian capital was seen bearing huge damage. This comes reported airstrikes which were conducted by the US and Israel. Footage that Republic has accessed shows extensive destruction of the buildings on streets. Iranian flag, in fact, flying in this visual that's on your screen. You can see the aftermath of the strikes conducted by the US and Israel. This is coming from the capital city of Iran. Massive destructions being reported. Buildings, in fact, reduced to rubble at this point, right after Israel and the US conducted strikes on capital of Iran, in fact.
Okay, let me also go across to now our guests who are joining us on this broadcast. Executive Vice President, Indian Foundation, Alok Bansal is joining us on the story. Mr. Alok Bansal, the first question, of course, going to be on this escalation of war. The visuals are showing the impact of the airstrikes in Iran's Tehran. But the larger question, of course, going to be, number one, is Iran going to be able to bear it? We know it's a country with a massive geographical reach. So they have mountains and deserts. They are going to be able to take this. But they've also stopped the Strait of Hormuz. It's going to have an impact. Even the Red Sea that they've stopped is going to have an impact. How are you looking at the larger ramifications for the world at large?
See, firstly, Iran is a civilizational state. It has a historical entity and it's a very complex geography. You need to understand it has Caspian Sea in the north, which connects it to Russia and to the other former CIS countries, as well as that's one way of supplying. So in case of Iran, US or the West cannot completely strangulate supplies to Iran, firstly. Secondly, we need to understand Strait of Hormuz, Iran can easily close, and which they have already closed. And almost 20% of the global oil comes out of Strait of Hormuz. But it doesn't affect USA because US today is a net energy exporter. The largest amount of crude that comes out of Persian Gulf goes to China, followed by India. So the two countries that are affected as far as the supply closure of Hormuz is concerned, that are China and India. Secondly, we also need to understand Iran realizes that it cannot do anything to US. So it is targeting the Gulf monarchies. So UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and even Jordan and other countries are being targeted. So this has created a havoc. And from India's point of view, we have about 9 million people living in these countries who send around $50 billion every year as remittances. So it's important. Their safety, their well-being is a crucial factor as far as India is concerned. So India has two problems. One is of the closure of Hormuz, and as far as the Indians or the expatriates living in Gulf are concerned. Whether Iran will crumble, the fact of the matter is that there is no match as far as Iran and the West is concerned, as far as air power is concerned. US and Israel have an overwhelming superiority as far as air power is concerned. But you cannot change regimes by air power alone. The second thing is the US ability to sustain a war for a long period is always a suspect. Though President Trump is talking of 4 weeks, 5 weeks, but the fact is that US capacity to take in body bags is extremely limited. We have already heard about 6 persons killed, 6 servicemen killed. Iran is claiming, of course, a larger loss. So as the conflict drags on, US will have a problem. But at the moment, Iran is at the receiving end. The Vilayat-e-Faqih has been eliminated. President is considered a moderate. He actually contested election on a moderate agenda, and probably could take Iran away from the path of hardline if he is given power to take charge and take it away. Whether he'll be successful or not is debatable at this point of time. Because of the war, Iranians, including those who oppose the regime, are generally rallying around the flag. We need to understand that even if people are unhappy with the regime, nobody wants to be seen as betraying the country. People tend to rally around the flag. So that is what is happening. But we also need to understand that Iran also has huge chunks of ethnic and religious minorities. There are a large number of Kurds, Azeris, Ahwazi Arabs, Baloch, and amongst them at least the Kurds are fairly well organized, strong, and have support across the borders. So if the conflict continues and drags for a very long period, then you might see that Irani regime, it's not only the regime, but even the state may start withering away. So these are the questions which one has to consider. On the other hand, a continued onslaught from Iran on the Gulf monarchies may also create problems, because all these monarchies are not democratic entities. They are absolute monarchies. And some of these countries like Bahrain, which has a Shiite majority ruled over by a Sunni emirate, may actually unravel if Iran keeps firing
Yes.
at them.